So today, my friend is going to tell us the story of Kusanagi in Japanese. So for those of you studying Japanese, listen to the story and we'll put the subtitles here. Please tell us the story. 日本語でもいいか?
日本語でもいいから
No. What happened with Kusanagi?
草薙は公園で裸になって
This is good practice.
歌ったり踊ったりして警察に逮捕されました
One more time. 全く同じようにもう一回繰り返して。
もう一回全く同じように、草薙は公園で歌ったり裸で歌ったり踊ったりして警察に逮捕されました。
Oh, thank you very much, Yuki.
Okay.
Okay. So, we just that thank you, Yuki, for the explanation. I call everybody Yuki, by the way. Protect your identity. SMAP. Let me explain. Let me use some. SMAP is a very, very popular boy band in Japan, made of 5 members, 4 members.
Yeah.
And they do music, crappy music, if you ask me. And they're actors, and they have a cooking show that's very popular, right?
Yeah. They're not very young. When you say boy band, they were a boy band when they were younger. But
like 17 years ago, when I first came, they were first starting, or 18 years ago now.
So now they're all mostly in their 30s and
30,
stuff. So
mid-30s, yeah.
Yeah, Kusanagi is like 34, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So Kusanagi is one of the members, and what happened? So one more time, summarize in English.
He was really drunk in a park alone, naked, and he was dancing and yelling, and it woke people up, and he got arrested.
He got arrested, yes. And it's a big deal in Japan. Oh my God, Kusanagi got arrested. And they interviewed people on TV, and everyone was like shocked. Because this country's so safe, this kind of thing is like big news, you know?
That and he has such a clean-cut image.
A very clean-cut image.
Yeah.
But it's headlines. But it's very interesting for a couple of reasons because, well, one thing is like big deal, right? For us. That's something like, you know.
Well, I think the media is making it such a big deal, but a lot of people, from what your students had said, like, they're trying to play it down a little bit. Yeah.
No, we wouldn't consider this a big deal. I mean, we've got Hugh Grant and Eddie Murphy picking up prostitutes on the street. You know, so this is like nothing.
Yeah, there's not a lot of bad boy characters in Japan in the famous.
Yeah, you basically, if you get arrested for drugs in this country, oh yeah, here's what's interesting. So this guy Kusanagi is drunk. So what do? The police arrest him, and they go to his apartment and search it for drugs, which would never happen in America.
Yeah.
You never get away with that, right?
At least not that quickly. It would take a while to get the warrant.
Yeah, so they go to his apartment and they search it. So for those of you thinking of coming to Japan, please remember, don't do drugs in Japan. Don't do drugs, period, but don't do drugs in Japan because you will get your ass. For here, there's no difference between drugs.
Yeah.
Right? The marijuana, heroin, angel dust, it's all the same. Cocaine, it's all the same, right? From a Japanese point of view. So be careful about that. What else?
The politician saying that he's, because it actually made, what happened with Kusanagi actually made international news. I found out yesterday, actually just flipping through MSN Entertainment. So, I mean, I think because it's getting such international appeal that the politicians felt that they had to say something to kind of protect the Japanese image.
One politician, his name is Hatoyama Yukio. He said, you know, this is a disgrace and Kusanagi is a terrible person for doing this, you know, but big deal, he got drunk and stood up in the park and danced and sang at 3 a.m., so, you know, big deal. But what's interesting is this is the same politician that 2 days ago was actually advocating that long-term residents, non-citizens of Japan, be given the right to vote, which is a big controversy, and he was completely raped on the internet by the Nichan and 4chan people. Nichan and 4chan people are the Japanese version of Anonymous, you know. They're the crazy people who write.
Nichan is Japanese version of 4chan. 4chan is.
Oh, 4chan's English?
Yeah, 4chan is English.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay. 4chan is English?
4chan is English.
Are you sure?
I think so.
4chan. Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Right, so anyway, Anonymous in Japan, they went crazy. And on Nico Nico Doga, this other website, web sharing site here, he did a live show, and during the show he stated that he made the statement, you know, which is going against the foreign prime minister.
Yeah.
The foreign prime minister in Japan said
that if I read correctly, he said that he feels that the society of Japan should not have the failed immigrant society that American has.
We have a failed immigrant society.
Well, what he meant by fail is that most of the immigrants in the States are kind of poor, and then the regular citizens or what have you are not. Which, I mean, that's kind of a pretty bold statement to say, but I mean that's where that word failed came from.
Right.
Yeah.
He doesn't want Japan to end up like America, so we should kick all the immigrants out.
Yeah.
Right? Including the Koreans and Chinese who've been here for 3 generations, right?
Well, I
Since
don't
the
know
war.
if they would go that far, but yeah.
Maybe just people like me and shot American, right? So anyway, that's what's happening in Japan. It's kind of interesting if you've been following it. For those of you interested in Japanese news, this is the big stuff that's happening right now. Anything else about that?
Well, we were talking about it, right? And I'll be honest, I think there's a lot of douchebag foreigners here.
There are.
That misrepresent the rest of us that, are pretty good people. And
I only break the law once a week.
yeah, and if you think about it, America interviews people before they actually give them the immigrant visa. And Japan doesn't do that. If you're sponsored by somebody, they give you the visa and then you come in. There is no interview or anything. So they can't really make sure if you're kind of okay up here. And again, there's no way to tell. Like, you could be perfectly fine, come here and go crazy. I mean, there's a lot of arguments against it, but...
In fact, I've known quite a few people come here and go crazy later from the pressure of living here. Some people just can't take it for some reason.
But I think that's the same people that would go to any other country and go crazy. So it's not specifically just Japan, I guess. But,
There are a lot of douchebags, though.
there are a lot of people that you meet, and God, you're gonna get so much hate for this.
No, but it's true, man. A lot of the foreigners here, and any of you other foreigners watching this who live here in Japan, you know what I'm talking about, those douchebags who think they own the country. The people who think they own the country do whatever they want,
Yeah, you just kind of look at them and you think, God, how did you get here?
I want to punch them in the face.
Who sponsored you to get here? that kind of thing.
But I'm always telling Japanese, you're too nice to foreigners. You do everything for them. You treat them like princes. And so kind of half the problem is that the people who wouldn't turn out to be assholes in the first place turn out to be assholes because they get treated like rock stars.
Well, and I'll keep saying this, is that people misunderstand Japanese silence as Japanese politeness or
Very
tolerance.
good.
But
Yes.
that's
Just
not
because
true.
Japanese are silent doesn't mean that they don't hate you. Or they're not. Or they're no.
No, there are certain ways that they show you.
Yeah, they show you, but you don't hear it because they don't say
But
it.
because Americans are not used to those signals, they just
Right.
kind of don't pick up on it. That when somebody is trying to tell you in a less subtle way that, hey, you should kind of stop what you're doing. So, yeah, it's just a different, I guess, dance, if you say it. And a lot of people don't pick up on it. And I'm not claiming to be an expert on it. I'm a foreigner. I'm learning like everyone else.
Subjective opinions, of course.
Yeah.
But we were talking about it in class earlier today, in that if you're going to allow foreigners into this country, you should be prepared for some. If you're not going to educate them or just open the doors without any interview, you should be prepared for people doing stupid things that piss you off.
Yeah, there's a girl that I'm not going to mention any names, but there's a girl that was working for an eikaiwa in Japan. She's only been here for 6 months, and she actually separated her trash wrong.
And she got arrested.
Yeah, so someone saw her separating the trash wrong.
You've got to separate the bottles, the plastic from the paper.
They called the police. Somebody saw her and called the police, and so the police arrested her, and she actually was detained for 5 to 7 hours.
Detained for 5 to 7 hours.
And they almost deported her.
What'd they call her?
They asked if she was Russian.
Are you a Russian prostitute?
And
she's an American prostitute. No,
she said, no, I'm American. And then they said, oh, so you're an American who speaks Russian. And all of this sounds very racist. And again, I don't think you want to say the word racist, actually, because it's not racist. It's just, it's a result of...
It's a simplistic way. It's a look, people, what we don't understand, we want to label because it helps us control it somehow. It's not the racism that we think of back in the States.
Yeah, it's just a psychological pattern that happens in any society that is experiencing foreigners for the first time.
Yeah, they're just not used to it. They're naive and they're
It happened
used
with
to
America as well. It's just, it's been
Ignorance,
it's been 50 years or however many years that, we've been kind of trained not to think that way. And so, Japan's just not there. Of course, it's a homogenous society, so you can't... Please do not use the word racist. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah. For those of you who love saying Japanese are racist, it's a simplistic opinion. It's not that easy. It's much more complicated, and everyone's opinion, everyone's experience over here is going to be completely different. So actually, what we're telling you here is completely irrelevant to what you may experience when you come over.
Yeah, we're not saying this to just tell you, but there's a clear shift in attitudes towards foreigners in terms of actual law, and so that's kind of changing a lot with the police attitudes and what they're allowed and not allowed to do now with foreigners. And I mean, just don't come here expecting that just because people don't say anything that you can just kind of
don't come over here and be
screw
an
around,
asshole.
you know?
Be polite.
Yeah.
You're still representing the country. Don't take advantage of people.
Wherever
just 'cause
you
they're
go
nice.
in the world, always remember that you might be the only American that people have ever met in their entire lives. And so if you think about that, then.
And I have to retract something I was telling one of my coworkers yesterday. I was saying, it's a Japanese fault because they treat them all so nice. But actually, just because you're treated nice doesn't give you an excuse to be an asshole.
Yeah.
I like saying asshole a lot. Don't be an asshole.
Do you want to talk about the animal?
What?
Do you want to talk about the animal?
No, I'm tired.
Okay. Never mind then.
I'm tired of talking about the Yamanote Densha. But I mean, it's not such a simple cut dried. You shouldn't do it. You can say you shouldn't do it, and that's it. But it's not that simple. I mean, you shouldn't do it, but you shouldn't be allowing foreigners in at the same time without educating them about what to expect.
I say just interview them before they get into here.
Yeah. Don't let any dirtbag in here.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you do come to Japan, be good and don't do drugs. Bye.